She ate oatmeal and skim milk every single morning for 15 years. Her doctor called it heart healthy, and she kept getting weaker after every so-called healthy breakfast. Here is what almost no one tells you about muscle loss after 60. It is not just how much protein you eat. It is what you eat it with and when. 4 breakfast foods sold to you as healthy are quietly blocking your body from rebuilding muscle. And the last one is in most kitchens right now. I want to be careful with that word, quietly, because that is exactly how muscle loss works after 60. It does not announce itself. There is no pain, no swelling, no warning light. You just notice one day that the chair is harder to get out of, that the grocery bags feel heavier than they did last year, that you reach for the handrail on the stairs without thinking about it. Small things, easy to blame on age. But underneath those small things is a process with a name. It is called sarcopenia, and it means your body is losing muscle faster than it can build it back. By the time the average person reaches their 70s, they have lost close to a third of the muscle they carried at 40. A third. Gone. And most of them never changed a single thing on purpose to lose it. I am an emergency physician. I do not see sarcopenia on a monitor. I see it on a gurney. I see it as the hip fracture from a fall that a stronger body would have caught. I see it as the pneumonia that a weaker chest could not clear. What worries me most is how often the early warning gets waved away as just getting older. Because a lot of it is not just aging. A lot of it starts at the breakfast table. So before we begin, I am curious, where are you watching from and how old are you? And when you get out of a chair, do you push down on the armrests? Tell me in the comments. I read them. Now let us get into it. Here is the thing your body does while you sleep, and almost nobody explains it clearly. Overnight, you are fasting. You are not eating for 7, 8, 9 hours. And during that fast, your muscle is in a slow, steady state of breakdown. This is normal. This is not the enemy. Your body breaks muscle down a little and rebuilds it a little, all day, every day. It is a balance, a seesaw. The problem after 60 is that the seesaw tips. The breakdown side gets heavier, and the rebuild side gets weaker. Researchers have a name for why. They call it anabolic resistance. It means that as you age, your muscles become harder of hearing. When you were 30, a small amount of protein was enough to shout the signal, "Build!" After 60, that same small amount barely whispers. Your muscles need a louder signal to do the same job. And the loudest moment to send that signal is in the morning. After the overnight fast, your muscle is primed, waiting, listening for the building blocks to arrive. That first meal is your best chance all day to flip the seesaw back toward rebuild. So ask yourself what you are actually sending it. If your breakfast is toast, or cereal, or just a cup of coffee on the way out the door, you are sending your muscle a whisper when it needs a shout. And here is what most seniors get completely backwards. They think the danger is eating the wrong thing. The bigger danger is eating a breakfast that says almost nothing to your muscles at all. Which brings me to the 5. 5 breakfast foods that are quietly failing your muscles every morning. I'm going to give them to you from the most common to the one hiding in plain sight. And then I am going to give you the 5 that actually flip the seesaw, including that last one sitting in your kitchen right now. Grab a pen if you have one. You are going to want to write these down. Number 1, white toast on its own. Here is what happens, honestly, without the scary exaggeration you have probably heard. White bread breaks down into sugar quickly, and your blood sugar rises. That part is true, but the real muscle problem is simpler and sadder than any horror story. A slice of white toast gives your muscles almost no protein, almost no leucine, which is the specific amino acid that acts like the ignition key for building muscle. So you have this beautiful morning window, your muscle waiting for a signal, and you hand it a fast burst of sugar and then nothing to build with. It is not that the toast is poison. It is that the toast took the seat that your protein should have been sitting in. And this is the pattern for all 5. So let me name it now. The danger is rarely the food itself. The danger is what the food replaces. Keep that in your mind. Let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret is 68, a retired second-grade teacher from Ohio. She came in after a fall in her own kitchen. Nothing broke, thankfully, but she was shaken, and her daughter was frightened. Margaret told me she had been getting weaker for 2 years. She could not understand it. She ate healthy, she said. Every morning, 2 slices of white toast with a little butter, quick and easy, out the door to water her garden. She thought she was doing fine. What she was actually doing, every single morning for 2 years, was skipping the one meal that could have fought her muscle loss the hardest. Hold on to Margaret. I will tell you what happened to her later, because it surprised even me. Number 2, coffee instead of food. And I need to be clear, because I love coffee too. Coffee is not the villain here. The villain is the word instead. Millions of people over 60 have a cup of coffee in the morning and call it breakfast. They are not hungry yet. They are busy. And the coffee is enough to get moving. But every hour you push breakfast later, you are extending that overnight fast. You are keeping the seesaw tipped toward breakdown, right through the exact window when your muscles are most ready to rebuild. Coffee with breakfast is fine. Coffee as breakfast is a missed morning, every morning. Number 3, processed breakfast meats. Bacon, sausage links, deli ham grabbed on the run. Now here is where I have to be fair, because unlike the toast, these do have protein. So why are they on the list? Because the cost comes with them. Processed meats are heavy in sodium and in preservatives, and the research linking them to heart disease and colon cancer is strong and consistent. For a body over 60, especially one already managing blood pressure, that is a real trade. You can get the protein your muscles need without the sodium load. So it is not that bacon builds no muscle. It is that there is a cleaner key to the same lock, and I will hand it to you in a few minutes. I know what some of you are thinking right now. You are thinking, my doctor told me to eat a low-fat, heart-healthy breakfast, and now this ER doctor is telling me it is wrong. Let me settle that. Your doctor is not wrong, and I am not fighting your doctor. The guidance most of us grew up with was built to protect your heart, and it does. The blind spot is that it was rarely designed with your muscle in mind at the same time. That is not your doctor failing you. That is a 7-minute appointment that never had time to cover both. You can protect your heart and your muscle in the same bowl. That is the whole point of the second half of this video. Number 4, oatmeal made with skim milk and nothing else. This is the one that catches the most careful people, the ones trying hardest to eat right. Oatmeal is genuinely good for you. I am not taking your oats away. But listen to what a plain bowl of oats with skim milk actually delivers. A lot of carbohydrate, a little bit of protein, and because the milk is skim, you have stripped out the fat that helps your body absorb certain vitamins. On its own, that bowl is a whisper when your muscle needs a shout. Not dangerous, just not nearly enough. It is a breakfast that feels virtuous and leaves your muscles hungry. Remember Margaret and her toast. There was a second patient, years earlier, a woman named Dorothy, a retired bank manager, and Dorothy did everything by the book. Steel-cut oats, skim milk, a banana, measured out every morning for 15 years, exactly as her cardiologist suggested. And she could not understand why her hands had started to tremble, why she could no longer lift her small granddaughter. Dorothy was not eating badly. Dorothy was eating incompletely. Her breakfast protected one thing and forgot another. Number 5, refined breakfast cereal. The flakes, the puffs, the ones fortified with vitamins printed proudly on the box. This is the one hiding in plain sight because it is marketed as the responsible choice. Here is the plain truth. Most refined cereals are mostly refined carbohydrate with a light dusting of added vitamins and, very often, a surprising amount of added sugar. The protein content is tiny, So once again, at the most important muscle moment of your day, you are pouring a bowl of sugar and calling it fuel. The vitamins on the box are real. The muscle signal in the bowl is nearly silent. So that is the 5. Toast alone. Coffee instead of food. Processed meats. Plain oats with skim milk. Refined cereal. And I want you to notice the thread running through every one of them. Not one of them is evil. Every single one of them is simply too quiet. Each one takes the seat your protein should be in, at the one meal where your aging muscle is finally listening. That is the real crime, not what is in these foods. What is missing? Now, if you have been feeling a little uneasy watching this, recognizing your own breakfast on that list, I want you to hear me clearly. This is not your fault. Nobody sat you down at 60 and explained anabolic resistance and the morning window. You were following the advice you were given, and you were following it faithfully. The good news, the reason I made this video, is that this is one of the most fixable things I know of. Muscle responds. Even in your 70s, even in your 80s, muscle answers when you finally send it the right signal. So let us send it. Before I give you the 5 foods that flip the seesaw, do one small thing for me. If this is already changing how you see your breakfast, tap like. It is free, it takes 1 second, and it helps this reach another person who has been falling and does not know why. That is the only payment I ask. Here is your target, and it is the single most useful number in this whole video, so write it down. Aim for at least 25 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast, not spread vaguely across the day. Right there in the morning, in that first meal. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition found that older adults who spread their protein evenly across breakfast, lunch, and dinner built noticeably more muscle than those who ate most of it at supper, even when the total for the day was identical. Same protein. Different timing. Different muscle. The morning is where most people leave the easiest wins on the table. Now the 5 foods that get you there. Number 1. Plain Greek yogurt. A single cup delivers around 15 to 20 grams of high-quality, complete protein, and it is rich in leucine, that ignition key I mentioned. This is one of the simplest swaps on earth. Where you would have had the sugary flavored cup, choose the plain, thicker Greek kind and add your own fresh berries for sweetness. Choose the full-fat or low-fat version rather than the fat-free one, because that little bit of fat helps you absorb the vitamins that come along for the ride. 15 grams of protein before you have even turned on the stove. Number 2. Eggs. 2 whole eggs give you roughly 12 to 13 grams of complete protein, all 9 essential amino acids in the proportions your body is looking for, plus vitamin D, which older adults are so often short on. Eat the whole egg. For decades, people threw away the yolk out of fear, and the yolk is where much of the goodness lives. 2 eggs plus that cup of yogurt, and you are already at your morning target, sitting down before 8 in the morning. Number 3. Cottage cheese, or if you prefer, avocado paired with your protein. Cottage cheese is a quiet powerhouse, often 25 grams of protein in a single serving, and it sits beautifully with fruit or a sprinkle of pepper. And if you love a slice of avocado on your plate, keep it. Just understand its job. Avocado is not there for protein. It is there for healthy fat and potassium, and to help you absorb the nutrients from the protein sitting next to it. Avocado is the supporting actor. Never let it play the lead. Number 4. Lean poultry. Turkey or chicken. I know breakfast meat usually means bacon, but a few slices of leftover roast chicken or turkey from last night, warmed up beside your eggs, is one of the most protein-dense, sodium-light ways to start a day. 4 ounces of chicken breast carries around 30 grams of protein and a strong dose of leucine, without the preservative load of the processed stuff. This is the clean key to the same lock I promised you back when we talked about bacon. And number 5, the one in almost every kitchen right now, nuts and seeds. A small handful of almonds, walnuts, or pumpkin seeds, stirred into that yogurt or scattered over your eggs, does something none of the others do quite as well. It brings plant protein together with magnesium and zinc, two minerals your muscles genuinely need to do the building work, and healthy fats that calm the low-grade inflammation that quietly eats at aging muscle. It is not a large amount of protein on its own. It is the finishing touch that ties the whole meal together, and it has been sitting in your pantry the entire time. Now, remember Margaret, the toast, the fall, the frightened daughter. I did not put Margaret on a complicated plan. I asked her to do one thing. Trade the 2 slices of toast for 2 eggs and a cup of plain Greek yogurt with a few walnuts on top. That is it. One swap. Within a couple of weeks, she told me she was steadier on the stairs. Within a couple of months, her daughter called the office, and I still remember the sentence. She said, "Mom carried the groceries in from the car herself." One swap, at one meal, and the seesaw started tipping back the other way. That is how forgiving muscle can be when you finally feed it right. I want to be honest with you about what to expect, because false promises help no one. You will not feel like a different person on day 3. This is not a switch. It is a slope. Give it about 2 to 3 weeks before the small things, the chair, the stairs, start to feel easier. Give it 2 to 3 months before the change is something the people around you notice out loud. Muscle rebuilds on a schedule you cannot rush, but it does rebuild as long as you keep sending the signal every single morning. The people who win at this are simply the ones who did not quit in week 1. And you do not need to be perfect. You do not need every food on that list every day. If all you do tomorrow is add 1 real source of protein to your morning, 1 cup of yogurt, 2 eggs, you have already done the most important thing in this video. The next useful step beats the perfect plan you never start. So how do you know if this is even you? Here is a simple test you can do at home this week. No equipment. Sit in a sturdy chair, arms folded across your chest so you cannot cheat, and stand up and sit down 5 times as quickly as you safely can. If it takes you much longer than about 15 seconds, or you simply cannot do it without your hands, that is worth mentioning to your primary care doctor at your next visit. Not a reason to panic, a reason to pay attention and to start tomorrow morning. If you have had unexplained falls, or you are losing weight without trying, do not wait for the next visit. Call your doctor this week. That combination deserves a proper look. Let me pull this all together into one picture you can carry with you. Every morning after 60, your muscle wakes up listening for one signal: build. A breakfast of toast, or cereal, or coffee alone whispers when it needs to shout. A breakfast built around real protein, 25 to 30 grams of it, from yogurt, eggs, cottage cheese, lean poultry, and a handful of nuts, shouts loud and clear. Same meal of the day. Completely different message. And your body has been waiting your whole life to hear the loud one. So here is your one job for tomorrow. Not a diet, not a life overhaul, just one breakfast. Put real protein on the plate and let the toast take second place for once. Then do it again the next morning. That is how this works. If this changed the way you see your morning, do 2 things for me. Tell me in the comments which breakfast on that first list has been yours. I genuinely want to know, and then share this with one person who has been getting weaker and cannot figure out why. Your mother, your husband, the neighbor who grabs the handrail now. It might be the thing that keeps them on their feet. Because there is one more piece to this that I did not have time for today. What you do in the 30 minutes after breakfast can double everything we just talked about. That is the next video. I will see you there.